One question I'm starting to see more and more lately is, should I sell my products as FBA or FBM? And so we're going to explore that here in this video. I think one of the reasons that that question is coming up more and more lately is because it is becoming more expensive and there's more rules attached to selling FBA. Now, FBA is great because Amazon takes care of the fulfillment for you. Their rates to ship it to the customer are reasonable, but the storage fees are becoming more and more expensive. And a lot of the metrics that you're getting with between IPI score and how fast you move your inventory sometimes even conflict with each other. So it could be kind of a delicate balance trying to figure out FBA. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense from the metric standpoint of having all your products in FBA when maybe some of them might make more sense to be shipped as FBM, meaning merchant fulfilled. Now, if there's a couple things to keep in mind with FBA. If it arrives late, Amazon takes care of that. If you get dinged with your seller rating because a product arrived late or a variety of reasons, they almost never stick with something negative, and Amazon will usually take the accountability for that. Now with FBM, you're responsible for customer service, you're responsible for the returns, you're responsible for making sure that it's sent out on time, and so there's a little bit more pressure on you, but you do get more control. When again does it make sense? Let's take a look on Amazon and I'll show you some examples of when it makes sense to do it and when not to, and some ways that you can figure out if it makes sense for you to focus on FBM. So best thing to do is just take a look at other products in your category. So generally speaking, lighter products that are fast moving make sense for FBA. It's hard to get the math to make sense for FBM for a small, fast moving product. And you can usually see it with the top sellers in your category. So let's just for fun look at the old standby of garlic press. It's a relatively small product, something that's relatively fast moving. It doesn't take up a lot of space. There's not a lot of wasted space. Like if you sell lampshades, that might have a lot of wasted space just with kind of in the middle of it, because oftentimes your FBA fees are factored heavily into the volumetric space, not just the weight itself. You can generally look, and if almost all the products are prime, especially stuff that's coming in like overnight or the next day, that's almost always going to be prime, meaning it is FBA. Now, you could do seller fulfilled prime. Oftentimes, it's not going to happen in a category like this where the products are relatively inexpensive. Now, when would it make sense to look at FBM? And so FBM might make more sense for something that's larger, something that's custom, something that is heavy. And so for an example would be a couch. If you look at couch, now all of a sudden you don't see all these prime badges. And so, because this is a larger product. Now, if I come down here, you might say, oh, but there is a prime badge. Well, it's really more the couch cushion cover. So not the couch itself. The couch cushion cover is going to be small and light and compact, whereas the couch itself, you can't really make a couch small unless you sell people like a kit. But even that's going to be fairly oversized. So Amazon's products for oversized oftentimes don't make as much sense. So now what about what would it actually cost? And so you could take an ASIN of a similar product to yours. So let's say you sell a couch and it's similar to this. You want to decide, does it make sense to do it or not? So what you could do is take the ASIN and go on Amazon to their revenue calculator, which you could just Google, and you could type in the ASIN. So let's go back here. Type in the ASIN. Now it finds that product and it'll give you an example of what it would cost to ship. Now in this case, it would cost $99 to ship on top of the 47% referral fee. So it is more than double the 15% referral fee. So it's going to be about 30%. Now you might be saying, I might be able to make those numbers work because you could factor in, how much it costs. But then think about what is the cost to store it? How many couches are you moving? And what is it going to cost you on a month-to-month basis if you start getting into Christmas? So let's say you send some in now. Some of those units you send in now might sell through the holidays. Some of them might not sell until it's July right now as I record this. Some of them, let's say it doesn't last until into the new year. So you might be looking now at long-term storage fees more than 6 months in, and you'd be going across the fourth quarter where things are way more expensive. So per month, you could be looking at a whole lot more. So let's just say it's in there for 10 months. Now it's $71 to store. So your cost per unit is now going up substantially. So you could do a comparison if you're going to do the fulfillment on your own, because you might have better rates. Oftentimes you can get better rates, or you could use a company like Where to Go, where like short for warehouse, to the number and then go, where2go.com. They're actually owned by UPS, and they are somebody that could give you potentially better rates on seller fulfilled prime for heavier products. So they're worth looking into, but it's not going to make sense to do this. Now, you might be saying, but I have a smaller product. So think about your smaller product, and you could do a similar comparison to see what is going to be that cost of fulfillment, storage, and everything all in if I was to do it myself. And you'll start to find for a product that's less than a pound, if it's relatively small, your shipping fee with Amazon might be around $5, $6. Now you might find the post office might be $6.50 just for shipping that less than a pound product, plus the cost of the box, plus the cost of potentially the return, plus the cost of if you yourself are using your time, or if you have staff, the staff labor cost. Also think about the packing materials you might put in there, air pillows, things like that. So all of a sudden it starts to add up really quick. And so you might be talking about $9 to ship that product versus maybe $6 with FBA. So $3 per unit on a product that might be $20. Are you really saving anything? And then you're also going to have some cost of storing it, whether in your own warehouse or a 3PL, whereas you might have some slower moving items that you want to just keep on hand just to have a larger catalog, because those over time will sell. Or if you have a product that is custom, because Amazon's not going to custom print, custom engrave, custom cut, whatever the case is for your custom product, they're not going to do that. Then it would definitely make sense. So going back to what we were talking about before, FBA makes sense for fast moving, light items that are relatively small. And then FBM is going to be products that are either large, oversized, bulky, something that's customized, or it's slow moving. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, my name is Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy. Thank you for watching.